And now back to Focus on Diversity with Troy Shaw.
And welcome back to the program. Let's get right directly into our next discussion. Trying to look white. According to a recent survey by the American Society of Plastic Surgeons, the number of minorities getting plastic surgery quadrupled between 1997 and 2000, and 2002 that is. And the 2005 Asian Americans had 437,000 cosmetic surgeries, up 58% from 2004. Is everybody trying to look white these days? I mean, Mike, what do you think about that? Am I trying to look like you? So for me to be accepted in society, I got to look like you.
This is a topic that I don't understand because obviously I'm a guy that's got to be completely at peace with how he looks. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what they're doing.
Okay. Well, I mean, here's the thing, Robert. Here's the thing, right? You know, Michael Jackson's making himself look whiter. The nose is what have you. But there's something to be said for folks trying to make their lips look bigger and trying to get, skin tones that are a bit darker than theirs. Is America losing its mind right now?
Oh, I mean, there's this obsession of how we look, and again, I'm like Mike, I'm happy with the way I look, no matter what the people say. But the bottom line is, there are some people out there who read these magazines, who see the TVs and look at the successful people out there, and they say, well, I got to carve my body up to look like that, and they should just be themselves, man.
There is a quintessential truth out here right now in regards to the way you look being more acceptable in society, and facial features and features such as that, having that to look more Caucasian typically does get the grease. So in society anyway, what do you think, Mike?
Well, I mean, there has been research that shows, not only how you look, but even, what your name is. If you have a quote unquote ghetto name, you're less likely to get certain jobs.
I mean, like Tawana, Shaquana.
Right. I mean, that's just unfortunately
those are some bad names.
But it goes both ways.
Some bad names.
It goes both ways as well, because I hear that the number one surgery for white women is to make their lips bigger and to make their butts a little bit bigger. So I guess, in every respect, it works both ways. Mm-hmm. Black folks have fallen prey to a lot of this, some black folks as well. Because if you recall, if you go back through black history, you'll find a period when they used to have what they used to call a paper bag test. In order to get in some black colleges, particularly women's colleges, you had to meet the quote unquote paper bag test, which means you had to be lighter than a paper bag.
And that's crazy.
That's a self-degradation again. Well, we thought if we could look white, black men processed their hair. Mm-hmm. We went to the extremes because we thought we would be accepted if we look more like white America.
That goes back to our conversation in regards to white privilege, and we only got a short amount of time on this though. But for the most part, that's looking Caucasian is more acceptable in society. Now, I know that you made your comments earlier, Mike, but for the most part, is that a reality that you know of?
No, I don't think it is a reality. I think.
Well, you don't know that because you're white, though.
No, but I think there are certain segments of the population, there are certain areas of the country where that's true. Mm-hmm. But I think that the country is moving away from that, probably not as fast as it should. There's a lot of work that needs to be done. But I think a lot of it also begins right at home, is that you've got to have parents teaching their children to be proud of their heritage, to be proud of how they look, to be proud of who they are, and not, you got to instill that at the beginning, and then they won't be looking for an opportunity to change.
Last word on it.
I think that you're right. There is a need to have the family instill this pride in their looks and their heritage. But I think that, if there is no leadership setting the tone to make these changes, we will never see it in America.
And that leads us right into our next discussion. Home at last. A Milwaukee couple who escaped political prosecution in their native Congo were both granted asylum last week. Regina came to the United States in 1995 with false documents. She had then been jailed, tortured, and raped for her pro-democracy political views in the Congo. Her husband, David, also escaped prison and torture for his political activities in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Now, we've heard this story sparsely in the community. This goes along with just trying to ask whether or not if someone isn't properly documented in America, should they be sent back regardless of what other things that they've gone through? I think I'm going to go right back to Mike on this. What do you think?
No, I think you're blurring the line.
Okay.
These people were seeking political asylum for how they were being treated and tortured and for their pro-democracy views. That's a far different situation from somebody that's coming across the border because they want a better life. They're trying to change their economic circumstances. They're coming and looking for a better job or better opportunity. You know, one of the big debates in this country is going to be, how do we solve this problem? How do we take the people that are here, that have been part of our local communities for years and years and years, but are here illegally, how do we make them legal, or how do we set up a process where we can bring them into the mainstream?
Now, I don't know political policy too much in Mexico. I don't think it's all that got it going on in that particular fashion. Could one argue, hey, look, I'm politically stifled here in Mexico. I want to come over as well.
Well, I will agree it's based primarily on economics, you know, but this gets to the very, very heart of this double standard of the United States government. You know, we wouldn't be having that discussion if these had been Cubans. They would have been allowed in here and embraced. But because we're talking about Africans, you know, then there's a totally different and separate standard. You know, just like Cubans can come across here, come across the ocean, etc. But then if a Haitian, you know, comes within 100 miles of the United States, you know, he's sent back, allowed to drown and die. You know, this gets to the heart of America's foreign policy and how discriminatory it is.
I got to give Robert the last word on, please.
We have this notion that these people who come into this country illegally are destroying this nation. This nation has had illegals coming in since the very first Spaniard walked into these lands and started killing the Native Americans, the natives of this country. The idea that anyone who comes in illegally, anyone who comes in illegally is out to destroy America is a false, crazy notion. There are some people here who do want to succeed and who do want to help the United States. And eventually the United States is going to need that population even more when the baby boomers continue to retire and our workforce shortages show that economically we're becoming weak.
Well said. And when we come back, we'll have more of our diversity discussion. That's next on Focus on Diversity. We'll be right back.
Since 1985, Sprecher Brewing Company has been committed to brewing a diverse variety of quality beers and sodas. Along with their commitment to a diverse product, they also have a strong commitment to diversity. Sprecher Brewing Company is proud to be a sponsor of the Focus on Diversity program. We are honored to participate in Milwaukee's great brewing tradition, and we're grateful for the opportunity to present our best to you.